On New Year's Eve, as the city bustled with celebrations, I drove to my friend's house for a small gathering. Since I don't drink, I was completely sober, which means what happened that night was anything but a hallucination. The road cut through a quiet suburban area, illuminated only by the dim glow of streetlights. As I approached a bend, I noticed a woman standing motionless by the roadside. She wore a long white dress, her hair cascading down, obscuring most of her face. The sight sent a chill down my spine, but I continued driving, trying to ignore the unease creeping over me. As I passed her, I instinctively glanced into the rearview mirror. To my horror, she had turned to face me, even though she had been standing perfectly still just moments ago. A cold shiver ran down my back, but I dismissed the unsettling feeling and focused on the road ahead. The party was lively, yet the image of the mysterious woman lingered in my mind. Near midnight, I decided to head home. The road was even emptier now, the silence pressing in. As I approached the spot where I had seen her, my car suddenly jolted violently. Startled, I pulled over and stepped out to inspect the issue. What I found sent a wave of terror through me. All 4 tires were slashed, as if someone had deliberately cut them. A cold wind swept past, carrying a faint whisper from behind me. "I see you." The voice was hoarse, almost guttural, making my heart pound. I grabbed my phone, switched on the flashlight, and scanned the darkness around me. Then I saw her. Standing just a few meters away, she no longer looked human. Her skin was deathly pale, her eye sockets hollow, and the lower half of her jaw was missing, exposing jagged remnants of bone. But the most terrifying part was the grotesque grin stretched across her distorted face. As I stumbled backward, she stepped forward, slowly, deliberately. Panic took over, and I sprinted toward my friend's house, my legs trembling so badly I nearly tripped. When I finally reached the door, I banged frantically, and the moment it swung open, I collapsed inside, slamming the door shut behind me. My friend stared at me in confusion, but I could barely stammer out an explanation of what I had just seen. I thought the nightmare had ended. It hadn't. That night, as I lay restless on the sofa, a whisper came from outside the second-floor window. "I see you." Dread coiled in my stomach. Slowly, I turned my gaze toward the window. There, pressed against the glass, were those hollow, blackened eyes, locked onto mine. Morning brought little comfort. The police were called, and they found strange markings around the house, along with a rusted knife discarded nearby. No one knew who she was, but I knew one thing: she had seen me, and I wasn't sure if or when she would come back for me.
Story 2.
Long and exhausting flight, the young woman hurriedly caught a taxi home late at night. The driver, a middle-aged man with an ordinary appearance, seemed friendly at first, but from the moment she got into the car, something felt off. At first, he asked her harmless questions about her flight, but gradually, his tone became unsettling. "Do you live alone? Is someone waiting for you at home?" His questions grew increasingly personal, making her uneasy. She kept her answers short, avoiding unnecessary conversation. As the ride continued, she noticed the driver wasn't taking the usual route to her house. When she pointed it out, he merely chuckled and said, "This way is faster. Don't worry." Her stomach tightened. A cold sense of dread crept over her. Pretending to be on a call, she spoke loudly, telling an imaginary family member that she was almost home and that people were waiting for her. A few minutes passed, and sensing her alertness, the driver reluctantly adjusted his route. But even then, the air inside the taxi felt suffocating, thick with tension. Just to be safe, she quickly sent her live location to her family. As they neared her neighborhood, the traffic light turned red. Through the window, she spotted a police car parked nearby. Without hesitation, she threw the door open and ran straight to the officers, ignoring the driver's angry shouts behind her. The police immediately assisted her, but when they turned back to check, the taxi had disappeared into the night. She made it home safely, but the lingering fear stayed with her. The next morning, her neighbor mentioned something chilling. Someone had been lurking around the apartment complex late at night, peering through her windows. He even told the security guard that he was her father and needed to get inside. Her blood ran cold. Her real father was in another city. From that night on, she was always cautious when taking a taxi after dark, because now she knew some drivers weren't just drivers.
Story 3.
That summer, Willow Lane was as tranquil as ever. Quaint houses nestled beneath towering oak trees, and winding streets painted a picturesque scene. The residents knew each other so well that they could recite each household's daily routine. Nothing unusual ever happened until three neighbors vanished without a trace. It began on the evening of August 15th, when Linda Pearson, a dedicated elementary school teacher, failed to return home after work. Her students waited in vain the next morning, but she never arrived. Her apartment remained untouched. Her car sat idly in the garage. Her phone rested on the kitchen counter, but she was nowhere to be found. The following evening, Mark Evans, a software engineer living 2 houses down, left for his usual walk. Neighbors saw him standing by a black car, speaking to an unknown man. That was the last time anyone saw him. By August 17th, Henry Thompson, a retired veteran, disappeared from his front yard while watering his plants. A neighbor later reported hearing strange noises in Henry's backyard during the early morning hours, but no one thought to investigate. By sunrise, he was gone. 3 people, 3 different lives, gone within 3 days, without a single sign of struggle. Law enforcement launched an immediate investigation, but no solid leads emerged. Surveillance footage captured only blurry figures, none identifiable. Families and friends organized search efforts, plastering missing person posters everywhere, but all they found was silence. Panic crept into the community. Rumors swirled about a mysterious black car seen idling on the street for several nights. Some even claimed to have heard eerie whispers in the dead of night. Were these disappearances connected, or was it all a chilling coincidence? As the investigation deepened, unsettling details surfaced. Linda had confided in a colleague that she felt watched for weeks before she vanished. Mark had been working on a controversial tech project tied to a major corporation, and Henry, the quietest man on the block, was linked to an unsolved case from the 1980s, a case shrouded in mystery. Were these clues connected, or merely fragments of a larger, more sinister puzzle? As time passed, the case grew colder. Linda, Mark, and Henry were never found. No clear evidence, no suspects, just an eerie silence that loomed over Willow Lane like an unshakable shadow. Some residents moved away, fearing they might be next. Those who stayed locked their doors religiously once night fell. To this day, one question remains unanswered. What really happened to them? And will it happen again? An invisible darkness lingers over this once peaceful street, where secrets remain buried and the truth stays untold.
Story 4.
Back in high school, I knew a strange kid. He had messy black hair, pale skin, and always wore a faded gray hoodie. His name was Daniel, but no one ever called him that. Her mother told us she had a fever, constantly muttering about someone standing outside her window every night. After that, we never said Daniel's name again. But even now, whenever I pass by the schoolyard, I can feel a pair of eyes watching me from somewhere in the shadows, and I know Daniel is still there.